Welcome to this week's Who the Folk podcast. I'm Lonnie Goldsmith, the editor of TC Jewfolk. This week I talk with Cantor Inbal Sharett-Singer, the new cantor and music director at Temple Israel in Minneapolis. We talk about why she moved here from New York, how she and her family are adjusting to Minnesota, and getting ready for the high holidays on this week's Who the Folk podcast. But before we get to the cantor, picture this. Israel 2022. Crowded bus breaks down on the side of a desert highway. Who's sitting next to you, and what secret will they reveal? The newest podcast from Unpacked, Homeland, 10 Stories, 1 Israel, will keep you on the edge of your seat as each passenger's story unfolds. Meet the Russian immigrant who escaped the Soviet Union, and the Jerusalem native whose family traces back more than 400 years. Each week, you'll meet a new character whose story will take you for a ride. So get on the bus, grab a window seat, and settle in for Homeland, 10 Stories, 1 Israel, wherever you get your podcasts. Cantor Inbal Sharett-Singer, welcome to the Who the Folk podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
You are the new cantor at Temple Israel in Minneapolis. We are sitting in the lovely garden courtyard.
The June Garden.
The June Garden here at Temple. You've been here only roughly 6-8 weeks at this point. What's it been like for you and your family moving here and settling in and getting to know this community here?
That's a great question. Surprisingly, it's been a very smooth transition. Of course, they say that moving is like one of the hardest things in the world. And it's true, and we are moving from a different state, from New York, and we have 3 children. And so you would think that it would have been extremely hard, but I think the warmth of the community and the support from our clergy team, our staff, the camps of Temple Israel have been amazing. So we really feel like there's been this great hug around us that help us to ease up into this transition.
You also, I mean, I'm sure it's been pointed out to you that you've fairly big shoes to fill of Cantor Abelson's. Is there any sort of added pressure coming into a job like that? You're only the second full-time cantor that the Venerable Synagogue has had, first female cantor. Does that add any more pressure? Do you enjoy sort of what comes with that, or do you not even think about it?
So the way I see it is that I'm not really preceding Cantor Abelson, and that Cantor Abelson is still Cantor Abelson, still the first cantor, and he is always going to be, Cantor Abelson to us, and that I'm just the second cantor of Temple Israel. And I do think that the process of the audition and the interviews made Temple and me feel like this is something that we really want. Mm-hmm. We really wanted each other, and we did this, fully choosing to be here. So I think it really helps to think that, of course, I'm not here to cause some kind of a revolution in any way.
Fair enough.
I am here to evolve together. Mm-hmm. I am stepping into a very musical, a very beautiful high holiday services. I am feeling that, I am different. I am a woman, and I sing, differently than Cantor Abelson. Sure. However, there is such a strong sense of tradition with cantors, with clergy at Temple, that I really feel that it is Jewish tradition that kind of gives us the okay to be here, because we're meant to keep it going, and we want to keep it going. So we are here to sing the beautiful liturgy. We are here to embellish it, but not to really put my stamp necessarily on anything, but just to kind of be here and sing together and make sure, of course, that everything is beautiful, everything is organized, but I'm not really making a lot of changes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think me being here is already a huge change, and that I feel that I do have the responsibility to make sure that our music and our liturgy is accessible and majestic and beautiful for everyone that comes, so they can feel like it's temple when they come here for the high holidays.
You had spent your entire career prior to coming to Temple at Riverdale Temple in New York.
Yes.
What was it about the opportunity here that made you think, I'm comfortable here, but like this is an opportunity I can't pass up?
Another great question. I started Riverdale Temple as an intern at the third year of the cantorial school at HUC. I really started the program at the second year, having passing out of the first year in Israel, and I did not have an internship. So I started subbing, made my way somehow to Riverdale Temple through Tot Shabbat, and then became the intern, and there was a great match, and they opened the position for me, and I worked there as a part-time cantor.
Oh, okay.
Got married there, had my 3 children, and build, a family.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband Jonathan, we knew that there'll come a day when I will be ready for a bigger job. It was only a question of when.
Mm-hmm.
When this job appeared to be at the cantorial search, it was very inviting as a great opportunity. First of all, especially because Cantor Abelson is so amazing, and just, continuing the cantorial journey after Cantor Abelson, you can already know that it's a healthy congregation that had a cantor for 37 years. It's already showing just by that this is a place that really respects their clergy and love their clergy and want their clergy. And when they search for a new cantor, it's a very thoughtful process. Mm-hmm. And when I came here, and it was winter and it was snowing, I fell in love with the synagogue. I came here kind of nervous, I have to say. And when I was here, I fell in love with the people, with the building, and especially with Tico Camp, which was all frozen.
Okay.
I could see my family growing up here, and my kids thriving in here. And my husband grew up in Wisconsin.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, he grew up in Superior. He loved his life here. He brought me to Wisconsin a couple of times. His my mother-in-law, lives at Red Wing.
Oh, sure.
So we have family here. And so just this great opportunity with family around here and this beautiful synagogue and beautiful team just felt very organic and natural.
Yeah.
to take this job.
So you come from a very musical family. Was it the music that always, like a career in music, was that always something that you had envisioned, or was it the clergy and the music was sort of an avenue to get you there? Which came first?
None of them.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah, I started music, you would say, late. I started music when I was 19.
Okay.
I started singing, while when I was in the Academy of Music, all of my fellow singers, sang most of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want to be a musician. My family are very musical, but I wanted to have, a normal childhood where I played sports and ran around. And at the age of 19, I started singing, and I started, having this kind of little light kind of lit in my heart.
Okay.
And drew me into opera, especially. And I started taking voice lessons, and I would say I grew up and I was steeped with a lot of music in my life.
Okay.
My mother worked at the young Israeli Philharmonic. She directed the Philharmonic. So I grew up at the Philharmonic. My sister played violin and then bassoon. She's a professional bassoon player in New York City, plays on Broadway.
Wow.
Her name is Gili Sharett. And from my father's side, there was a known composer, Yehuda Sharett, and many other musicians. So I did play piano, I sang in choirs, I played recorders, I played guitar when I was very young, and then I stopped for many, many, many years. Started again at an age of 19, studied opera in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, and then I moved to New York.
Okay.
And I completed my bachelor in Brooklyn College from opera. But it was pretty clear to me that I don't want to be an opera singer. I didn't really want to sing opera. I didn't see myself touring or doing the auditions. And it was not interesting to me. I took acting lessons and I developed my own little show that had a lot of Jewish music with show tunes. And I was very drawn to Jewish music, to liturgy. Mm-hmm. I started working at Stephen Wise during my first year in New York City, and that's when I met my brother-in-law, Cantor Inbal, who kind of shepherded me, coached me, and had me sing with him on the bima. And I really did fall in love with being on the bima, singing on the bima, and having this great experience. And even then, it took years until I chose to go to cantorial school. And that's a very long, different answer of what made me want to go to cantorial school.
Okay.
Yes. But it wasn't such a linear line, you know.
Well, and that's fun to hear because, like, I know with my own kids, I've told them plenty, and I've used that exact same line. Things aren't linear necessarily. Right. You don't know what you're going to do or where you're going to end up at a certain point. It's not a straight line. It's not A to B. There are ups and downs and steps backwards sometimes.
Of course.
But that's sort of part of the process of figuring out who you are and what you're going to do. Right,
and also what are your talents. And I'm a big believer that everyone can do really what they can choose if they work really, really hard. But also, each one of us have different gifts that we bring. And if we can use our gifts to kind of better the world and better the community, and also enjoy what you're doing, I think that's a real, real blessing. So that's the message. Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things that always interests me about clergy when they come to town is that the nature of the contract cycle, at least within the Reform and Conservative movements, is that new clergy tend to start on or roughly July 1st.
Like doctors.
Yes, like doctors. But doctors don't have to help lead high holiday services, 2 to 3 months after coming to a new city in a new building and trying to get a family settled and all of the things that go with moving part of the way across country. Yeah. How is that experience for you coming to a new job with your family and getting everyone sort of established while also preparing for high holiday services whose preparations were probably underway before you got here?
Right. You know that song of Paula Abdul, 2 steps forward, 1 step back?
Yeah.
That's kind of my life right now. I really give all of that credit to my husband, Jonathan, who has been keeping our family together.
Okay.
Because, yes, it's been really, really hard to settle in and work around the clock to make sure that Shabbat services are happening every week.
Yep.
B'nai Mitzvah happening. And, of course, high holiday preparation is our number one goal. And so, yes, it's definitely something that I've been thinking even before we started this job. I got all the binders months and months in advance. And I was so nervous that when we moved, they were in my suitcase when we flew. I didn't let the movers take them.
No,
I started learning the music early. I looked at the cue sheet. I coached. I started being prepared. First thing, reached out to the choir, already met with the choir, and just starting to plant seed as early as I can, asking a lot of questions. And the most amazing part is that, we have a lot of help at Temple. Our clergy have been super, super supportive. Rabbi Zimmerman, Rabbi Hartman, Rabbi Moss, Rabbi Klein, and our, clergy assistants and all the staff. There is a strong sense of support of everyone just wants us to succeed. Everyone wants us to do this right. So there is already a built-in mechanism of support here. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like I'm alone in this. And thank God my husband is so great with the kids. That's all that I can say. Working very hard for the high holidays. Yeah.
I would imagine it feels very 24/7. I mean, look, I think the job of a clergy member is a lot of ways 24/7 job anyway. There's the pastoral care parts of the job that may pop up at any moment's notice. Funerals happen, obviously, at a moment's notice. And so there are lots of areas where I'm sure you get called into that pull you in different directions that can sort of disrupt preparation. So obviously having a supportive clergy team goes a really long way.
Yes. I think the way I kind of handle everything together is to just embrace the known, embrace the unknown, take a lot of deep breath, be in the moment in every possible situation where you're at. There will be time to prepare for everything, but the most important time is now and who you're sitting with, and just the openness that you have in your heart to take in everyone who is with you, and just really be an open door. And you can't be at two places at one time.
Yeah.
So just be present where you're at, and try to work as hard as you can.
I'm not sure what else you could do, really.
Yes, that's true. Thank God I do have experience of 10 years on the pulpit.
Sure.
And even more than 10 years before I went to Riverdale Temple, I've sung at Stephen Wise, I've sung at the Brotherhood Synagogue, I've sung, at Temple Israel in New York and Rodef Shalom in New York. So I've had experiences that helped me to feel more present and more secure with the high holidays.
Okay.
In a way.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like totally at ease? Obviously, I mean, looking back at your New York experience, you were on the Bima for 10 years in one place. Did as you grew into your role, did it ever feel completely at ease particularly high holiday time? Or was there always sort of that nervous energy that comes with the high holidays?
Well, it depends when. Nervous energy can be in the preparations. Most of the time, when I'm in the Bima, I feel at home. The music is starting. We're starting to sing. We feel, the pressure is melting, and you just feel great. You feel good. You're in the moment. You are completely immersed in the liturgy. And that's kind of my home. That's where I feel good.
Yeah.
And no matter what happens during the week, when I'm in Shabbat or on holidays, I feel like, full of light and have great energy. But of course, never just completely at ease. I'm always, working in like millions of directions around me. I do love that kind of work.
Sure.
I love multitasking and doing different things. I would say it does matter when you go through the years. You feel a little bit more secure in the high holidays. I would say the biggest job for the cantor in the high holidays is working with a choir. And when you have great choir singers, choral singers that have been with you for a while and know the music, and you already have a working musical group with trusting and understanding of your musical vision, that makes a huge difference. I'm very grateful and blessed that we have a wonderful music associate here, Jason Radovsky, who has been here for previous years before me, and who's very, very helpful with all the high holiday work.
On a week-to-week, sort of Shabbat to Shabbat basis, our temple obviously has a reputation for being very musically inclined with Rabbi Moss. How much does that sort of fit into you and your style, both musically and liturgically?
So I think this is really who I am and what I am. I'm that kind of cantor that always has a band, plays guitar, sing, happy clappy songs and classical songs. My musical vision is participatory singing, joyful singing, portraying liturgy in a beautiful way that everybody can feel like it's accessible. And my musical vision is to have a band. So we have a band every service. I hired a big band, kind of like my first week here. And we have piano, percussion, bass. We have a clarinetist who also plays flute. We have a violinist. And of course, Rabbi Moss, who plays guitar. So we have that every service. And that's, we've been working. We have long rehearsals. And it's been very satisfying to everyone.
And having talked to Rabbi Moss a number of times and sort of seen his videos that he and Leah put together, I feel like that very much fits his vision and style as well, is to have the band and that sort of participatory.
Absolutely. We are a great team in that.
That's
great team
fantastic.
Overall.
That's fantastic. So as you've sort of gotten settled into the Twin Cities, what are you still hoping to do or see, here in town, especially in the summer? Is there anything that you haven't gotten to do yet that you really want to get to as a new resident?
Yeah, I haven't done any of the fairs.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to the state fair and the art fair. And I've heard about other great things
Well,
happening.
Uptown Art Fair was a couple weeks ago,
Yes.
but State Fair is coming up at the end of the month. So
Yes.
that's always it's interesting people watching, if nothing else.
Right. So I'm really interested to go, spend more time on the lakes. I haven't done the boating, canoeing.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to trying to do that one day. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Just exploring more nature. We try to go every week and explore a different area. Last week we went to the Eloise Butler Wildflower Garden, which was just amazing. And that was great. So I would love to get to know my way around and to learn some street names and stuff like that.
Look, I've been here 20 years, and I still rely on Apple Maps
Waze,
to tell me where to go, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Well, excellent. Well, Cantor Sharett-Singer, I will end on the last couple questions we always end on, and we will let you get back to your preparations. First, what is your favorite Jewish holiday?
It's really hard because I love Hanukkah so much, but I would say Passover.
Okay.
Passover has a very special place in my heart. From growing up, we used to have my father's side of the family, my father's great uncle, who was a composer, Yehuda Sharet. He wrote a Passover Haggadah for his kibbutz Yegul, and we have had growing up hundreds of people from the family sitting, across the table on a huge room, all of us singing, playing music, singing harmonies. My grandfather, who just passed away this summer, Yaakov Sharet, he was always the leader of the Seder, and it was very joyful, very funny, very musical. He always had cymbals, and every end of Echad Eloheinu, he would give a big bang, and we all crack up on the table, banging the table, singing out loud. So that's really, it's been my favorite holiday. I was so blessed. I was able to be in Israel this past Passover
Oh,
and
excellent.
celebrate with my grandfather also before he passed away, and have this experience together as a family. So that's something I couldn't really achieve in America.
No, I can understand that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite Jewish food? And now I understand that as being an Israeli native as you are, it can be a favorite Israeli food as well. Like we're not gonna discriminate there.
Right, because I'm
Those are different.
Yeah, I'm half Sephardi, half Ashkenazi. We really never did the Ashkenazi food that people eat here. Like I did not grow up on bagel and lox and white fish and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was never
Okay.
on the table. My favorite kind of Jewish or Israeli food, a really good falafel.
Okay.
Like really good falafel from Israel, from Hakosem in Tel Aviv. They have like these great green falafel balls that are hot and great and amazing, and you can't eat them anywhere else in the world.
Okay, I was going to ask if you had a spot. I'm glad you do, though.
That's my spot.
That's the spot. Well, Cantor Inbal Sharett-Singer, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time, and good luck as you continue to settle in here at Temple Israel. Thank you so much for joining me.
Sure, thank you.
The Who the Folk podcast is part of the Jew Folk Podcast Network, a product of Jew Folk Inc. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. If you have suggestions for other podcast guests, please email them to me at editor@tcjewfolk.com. For our other shows, check out tcjewfolk.com/podcast.